Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to be talking about post-traumatic stress disorder and why so much of what we think we know about it is just plain wrong. You probably heard this idea that PTSD is about being stuck in the past. Well, we're going to explore how it's actually about the body being trapped in a constant, never-ending state of high alert.
This quote right here just nails it. We tend to think of PTSD as this psychological scar from something that happened a long time ago. But what if it's way more physical than that? The source material describes it perfectly, as a continuous aftershock. The world around you might look calm, but inside your body is still shaking from an earthquake that never ends.
To really get what this means, let's look at the story of a woman named Xiao Ya. Her experience shows so clearly how trauma isn't always some big, dramatic, single event. Sometimes it's a slow, freezing process that ends up shaping your entire life.
So Xiao Ya basically grew up feeling like an invisible shadow in her own house. Her sharpest memories weren't of birthdays or holidays. They were of the brutal winters where she had to wash the whole family's clothes in ice water. The source says it felt like 1,000 needles stabbing her skin. But the physical pain, that was only part of it. Every single time she touched that water, it reinforced this devastating belief deep down inside: I am not worthy of love or warmth.
Now fast forward years later, Xiao Ya's a successful adult, she has a loving family of her own, but she'd still wake up from these terrifying nightmares, heart racing, feeling that phantom chill of the ice water. You see, her trauma wasn't just a bad memory she could look back on. It had completely lost its timestamp. Her body wasn't remembering it, it was reliving it, over and over, like it was happening right now.
And this brings us to probably the biggest, most damaging myth about PTSD, that it's some kind of mental weakness or a personal failure to just get over it.
Okay, so let's break this down. On the left, you've got the myths we all hear. It's a weakness, you just need to think positive, it's all in your head. But on the right, that's the scientific reality. PTSD isn't a psychological weakness, it's a biological system overload. You can't just think differently when your body's alarm system is literally stuck in the on position. And it's not all in your head because the brain's logic centers are physically suppressed. This is not a failure of character. It's what happens when a nervous system is pushed way past its breaking point.
The source material uses a great analogy for this. It's like a total system crash. So imagine your brain's fear center, the amygdala, is now totally hyperactive. It's scanning for danger 24/7. At the exact same time, the hippocampus, the part that gives memory context and tells you this happened in the past, its function is suppressed. And then, Broca's area, your language center, can just shut down. The alarm is screaming red alert, and it forces all logic and language completely offline.
And here's the thing. This kind of overload doesn't just come from what we typically think of as trauma, like war or a natural disaster. Actually, the source argues it's most often caused by wounds that society doesn't even see.
And this leads to this really powerful concept called social PTSD. Instead of a single explosion, think of it as the slow, corrosive damage from long-term injustice or neglect or just constant systemic pressure. And get this, according to the source, this might actually be the most common form of PTSD out there.
These wounds can come from your family, right? Like with Xiao Ya. They can come from a toxic job where the rules are just completely unfair. Or they can come from the chronic, grinding stress of social discrimination. In every single one of these cases, the person is trapped. They can't fight and they can't run away. So what happens? Their nervous system gets forced into this prolonged freeze response. This quote right here, it just gets to the very heart of it. Our brains are incredibly resilient. We are literally built to handle hardship, to deal with scarcity. But the one thing we are not built to handle is unfairness. When the rules don't apply to everyone, when things are fundamentally unjust, our systems start to break down. It just shatters our basic trust in how the world works.
So, if logic and reason are totally offline when someone's triggered, what in the world does a real path to healing even look like?
Yeah, telling someone with PTSD to just be rational is, well, the source has a perfect analogy for this. It's like yelling at a smoke detector to stop beeping while the house is still on fire. It's completely pointless. You have to address the fire first, which is the body's overwhelming feeling of danger.
This means healing has to happen from the bottom up. You simply can't reason with a nervous system that truly believes it is about to die. So, first things first, the body has to feel safe again. Only after that happens can the mind even begin to start processing what happened.
So the source lays out this clear, three-part journey. Step 1 is professional treatment. This means using therapies designed specifically to help the brain finally file away those untimestamped memories correctly.
Step 2 is conditioning, actively calming the body's overactive alarm system through things like rhythm, breathing, and movement. And step 3 is nurturing, creating a safe, stable, predictable life where that alarm system can finally stand down.
And what's amazing about this journey is that the goal isn't just to get back to normal. For a lot of people, it's actually about growing into someone new.
Check out this number, 3.9%. Now, that might not sound like a huge number, but that's the minimum percentage of adults globally who will experience PTSD. That's millions upon millions of people. This isn't some rare disorder. It is a widespread, deeply human experience. It's a normal response to an abnormal amount of stress.
And in fact, after going through something so difficult, many people don't just go back to the way they were. They experience this incredible thing called post-traumatic growth. They might develop a much deeper appreciation for life, or form stronger relationships, or feel a profound sense of empathy that they just didn't have before.
And this brings us back to Xiaoya. Her story really did come full circle. For her, a huge turning point was when her father apologized to her on his deathbed. That one moment of connection helped unlock a lifetime of pain. And after she found her own way to heal, she dedicated her life to helping others, providing them warmth and safety that she never had as a child. She didn't just survive, she grew.
And that leaves us with this final, really powerful idea from the source material. What if recovery isn't about becoming better at enduring pain, not about building thicker armor to protect yourself? What if true healing is about creating a life and maybe helping create a world where you can finally put the armor down for good?